Ready? Okay, let's go.
Good evening and welcome to the May 8th, 2019 meeting of the San Francisco Board of Appeals. Our former president, Frank Fung, has been appointed to the Planning Commission, so Vice President Rick Swig will take on the role of president and be the presiding officer tonight. He is joined by Commissioner Ann Lazarus, Commissioner Rachel Tanner, and we expect Commissioner Darrell Honda shortly. We'll now move on to item number 4. This is appeal number 19-019, Orla Wheaton Wohlberger versus San Francisco Public Works, Bureau of Street Use and Mapping. Subject property is 97 Webster Street, protesting the issuance on March 22, 2019 to Verizon Wireless of a personal wireless service facility site permit. Construction of a personal wireless service facility in a zoning protected location. This is permit number 17WR-0323, and we'll hear from the appellant first.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Orla Wheaton, and my husband Yoram is there with the owners of 9799 Webster Street, just a few feet away from the proposed antenna. I would like to start with a little story about the window. This window is just a few feet away from, I would like to show it to the, you can see this window. This window is just a few feet away from the pole. And I would like to tell you a short story about this window. Probably sometime around the 60s, someone placed an electric cabinet on this window, apparently with no consideration, no respect to the aesthetics of the building, no respect to the integrity of the building. This building was built in 1880. We finally saved enough money to bring back this window to its original state, so we had to get a permit from the city and approval from the Historic Planning Department. We spent 2 days in DPW, paid $400 for the permit, and we'll pay about $1,000 to a specialized carpenter to really restore the window and bring it back to what it was back in the 1880. So we thought, why not just replacing this window with this aluminum, very modern looking window. It's much more functional. It's cheap, right? Well, the reason is because of the aesthetics. And I think this is what we're talking about today, the aesthetics of the city, the aesthetic of our neighborhood, the Victorian integrity of our neighborhood. We're now, we want to argue that the Verizon proposed antenna does not comply with the standard that was ordinated by Article 25 that was recently approved by the California Supreme Court in April 4th, 2019. And they're not following the same standard that the city is required from the people and the citizen, the resident who live in the city. So I'm here to argue that the proposed antenna will compromise the aesthetics of the neighborhood and will decrease the value of our property. I want to refer to Article 25. The type of wireless antennas and other associated equipment that telecommunications providers install in the public right-of-way can vary considerably in size and appearance. The city does not intend to regulate the technologies used to provide personal wireless services. However, the city needs to regulate the placement of such facilities in order to prevent telecommunication providers from installing wireless antennas and associated equipment in the city public right-of-way, either in manners or in locations that will diminish the city beauty. So I'm talking about manners and location. These are two things that we need to consider before providing the permit. So I want to talk a little bit about aesthetics because in April 4th, 2019, the California Supreme Court ruled that the city have the right to regulate the placement of wireless telephone equipment on utility poles to accommodate aesthetic concerns. So I want to talk about aesthetics. I want to talk about what the city is considering aesthetic. Can I show some images again? So this is nice. This is probably what the city consider as aesthetics and something that will make our city pretty and beautiful. This is what's happening just a few blocks away from us. This is aesthetic. This is a standard of aesthetics. We're looking here, the pole, and next to it, the other street light. I think it's pretty obvious that one is more aesthetic than the other. And now I'm going to the proposed antenna and the pole that the antenna will be placed on. So this is it. This is next to our house, and this is the antenna. And I would just say that, you know, we're not against technology, but I want to ask a simple question. They're going to place a metal box on top of this antenna, and basically will decrease anything that looks like it used to be in this area and this corner of 97 Webster Street. And I'm going to go back to the word to show another image of that, the clutter that is already there with all the wires and all the boxes. And a little close-up on the proposed, a little close-up of where they propose to put the antenna. Now, you know, I want to quote Darwin, who talked about aesthetics. He said, "Seeing a stripe of soup in a man's beard is disgusting, even though neither soup nor beards are themselves disgusting." So I want to show what Verizon put in their proposal. So this is how it's probably going to look like, or a better close-up. This is how it looks now around the city. The proposed antenna is out of character and will decrease the property value and will compromise the beauty of our neighborhood. We're all concerned of what's happening in our streets, and the city spends so much money to clean up the streets. Now also our skyline will look the same. It's clearly a visual pollution, and the city has to right and power to stop it. This is an urgent matter before you, and we ask you to mandate Article 25 in this case, and to accept our appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Brian Brooks. I live 100 feet away from this proposed site. I live on 113 Webster Street. Our building was built in 1899, and we look out and see the Mint on Mint Hill, and we see their building, and I represent my family, and a little offended that San Francisco has been laying down and letting corporations do as they seem. Yes, we don't have underground wiring in our neighborhood, and to call it junky is kind of hurts me a little bit. But we live in a historic district. All the Victorians in our neighborhood have an aesthetic to us, have an aesthetic to the city, and again, extending that pole for an antenna, it would ruin my view. It would ruin other neighbors' view. Because we're up on the hill and looking down. And we're just talking aesthetics. No one's talking about health. Other cities in California have not gone forward with 5G towers until the true verdict is out. So yeah, we could talk about aesthetics, and I definitely am not for this. And I'm sad I wasn't here earlier to voice my opinion, other neighbors' opinion, because I think they feel the same way. And hopefully you receive more emails to that effect. Again, I would urge you to side with the appellant. Again, thank you.
Sorry, I used the word junk. I should have used the word clutter.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. There are wires. It is a little cluttered, but again, to your point, it gets passed because there is enough clutter that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to rebuttal. We'll hear from the appellant, please. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, my name is Yoram Wahlberger. I'm Orit's husband. And actually what you brought up, Mr. Swig, is exactly the issue for me, which is we already live in that junk. We already live in that clutter. And I'm really worried about adding some more to it, knowing also that the plan for Verizon and the other communication is to do it in about every 100 feet in the city. So here, we start here with our neighborhood. We care about this building. We bought it, and we take care of it. As you saw with the window, we go through the expense. We spent 2 days at the preservation committee on a window that costs $1,000. We spent $400 on the permit just to replace 2 sashes, and we went and did it in wood the way the city required, so we can preserve the history and the beauty of our city. I feel a little bit offended from the attitude of the people that talked before me, as if brushing away the issue of adding more junk or more clutter onto such a beautiful street with such beautiful buildings. There are other options, and you can see that had been done already. You can see in the background a Victorian style. It's a little blurry. I'm not sure if it's Victorian, Georgian, but this is a good solution. This is what we should do. We should look around, not look on our phone when we're walking by. We should look up, we should sideways and all around us, and also from the top and from our neighbor's view, and see how beautiful the city is, and not add more junk or more clutter to the city. And then you have also, my wife forgot to show you, this is the proposition that we got in the mail late, but we got it. This is where it is right now, and you can see how close it is from their viewpoint to the pole, 15 feet from my daughter's window, and this is how they're proposing to do the new one. The first time I hear right now that they're replacing the pole, I was assuming that they are actually using the same one, but that doesn't matter. They're going to do it on a wooden pole. It's not an iron rod, as the person before me says cynically. It is an old pole that was there. I don't know when they put it in. Obviously, then they didn't care. The same as the people who put the electric box in our window didn't care. But we're in a different time now, and we know better. So we shouldn't do something like this with all those extension and metal boxes and extend a wooden pole. I'm assuming that's what they're planning to do. I don't know where this is in the city, but that's the example. So please, this is what I'm going to live with, plus other more on top of it. Thank you very much.
I have a question for you. In your original letter, not in your formal brief, but in your original letter dated Monday, March 25th, you noted the lack of community outreach and that you were concerned that the community had been not properly notified. But you did not put that in your formal brief. Is that still the lack of notice? Is that still an issue for you?
It is still an issue, but as you know, I have 7 minutes or 3 minutes, and I felt that this is the main issue. There are other issues that were surrounding lack of I went through that in the first hearing. We didn't get the letters in time.
At my invitation, would you please talk about your issues on outreach? Because that is a very big, important item.
Yeah, maybe my wife is more.
Yeah, I think we expected to get more communication to the neighbors. I mean, beside what they did, that is part of the procedure. Our city, we didn't get as neighbors anything that came from Verizon. I think that the neighborhood association actually reached out to them and never heard back from them to meet with neighbors, to discuss with neighbors their concerns. So I think there was no even a small attempt to reach neighbors and to have
So
community
commissioners,
outreach.
this matter submitted.
Commissioners?
I have not heard anything that would enable me to grant the appeal.
I would agree with Commissioner Lazarus. According to Article 25, it seems as this permit was probably considered and issued. I think it's important for members of the public to understand that we have limited discretion in these matters, and the federal government and the state government have worked to create a framework under which we have to operate and under which the city and public works planning have developed our local policies. So we have limited discretion in these matters regarding aesthetics or other health concerns or whatnot that we can make our decisions based on. And given the testimony heard today, I'm not hearing anything that would suggest the permit was not properly issued in accordance with Article 25.
Thank you for that elaboration. Would you like to make a motion, Commissioner Lazarus, since you started it?
Move to deny the appeal on the basis that the permit was properly issued.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Lazarus to deny the appeal on the basis that the permit was properly issued. On that motion, Commissioner Tanner?
Aye.
President Swig?
Aye.
Okay, so that motion carries 3-0 and the appeal is denied.